Hi there, and welcome to the event. We'll be getting started in just a moment. Take a look around our event platform. You'll find important event information, a list of resources, including our follow along materials, as well as our media player window. You can resize the media player by clicking and dragging from the bottom corner. Or you can click the Maximize button to view this presentation in full screen. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be starting shortly.
I see cold, I'm just a diamond in the rough. Keep it cool, cause every time I'm rising up. I'm on a roll, yeah, I do it like that. I'm wild and bold, oh na 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 na. Got 'em like
Hi there and welcome. I'm Jared with Microsoft, and I'm thrilled that you've joined us. Operations teams orchestrate complex logistics, vendor relationships, and cross functional coordination while ensuring flawless execution across multiple locations. Modern business demands both strategic thinking and tactical precision. Today, I want to explore how Microsoft 365 Copilot can transform your workflow by enhancing your analytical capabilities and helping you synthesize information from multiple sources into clear recommendations. This can empower you to focus on strategic operations planning while efficiently managing the day to day execution challenges. We have designed this session to be practical and relevant to your operations responsibilities. Feel free to share questions through the chat feature as we go. Our team is monitoring and will address as many as possible. Now let's take a look at our agenda. We'll begin with a quick introduction to Microsoft 365 Copilot and what makes it uniquely powerful. Then, we'll cover some of the essential prompting strategies to help you communicate effectively with Copilot. The heart of our session, though, will be live demonstrations across the Microsoft 365 suite. You'll see firsthand how Copilot can help you review venue options with a loop component, analyze operational requirements in Excel, facilitate strategic planning meetings in Teams, synthesize comprehensive assessments using Copilot Chat, and create executive recommendations and communicate operational decisions clearly across stakeholder groups in Outlook. We'll conclude with next steps and resources to support you on your Copilot journey. Everything we cover today is designed to deliver value to your role. So, let's get started. When you think about being productive at work, you might imagine having an assistant. Traditionally, we associate assistants with executives and upper management. However, with the advancements in AI, Copilot is designed to provide everyone with an AI assistant at work. This is a bold promise, and Copilot delivers in significant ways. First, it's important to understand that this artificial intelligence is powered by a large language model, or LLM. Essentially, this means that it understands words and how they relate to each other, forming a vast amount of intelligence that can respond to us in a human like way. In the past, interacting with computers required a knowledge of code and a rigid, structured way of communicating for the PC to understand. Now, with large language models and Copilot, you can use casual, conversational speech and it will intelligently understand you. This is the foundation of how Copilot works. Its capabilities are further enhanced by its integration with Microsoft 365, giving it access to your organization's data. Of course, it's built with best in class data protection and privacy. This intelligence and company knowledge are integrated across the apps that you use daily. These apps include familiar ones like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, Outlook, and even newer applications like Microsoft Loop. To access Copilot, your organization needs to assign you a Copilot license. Once you have a license, you'll see the Copilot icon, which I'll show you later, And you can interact with Copilot within the apps that you are familiar with. As I mentioned, Copilot has access to a wide array of company data, including sensitive information and confidential projects. It is crucial to emphasize that Microsoft 365 Copilot runs on trust. The trust that you and your organization place in us at Microsoft. The data you provide to Copilot is your data. Microsoft and its partners cannot view your interactions, and data is never used to train the AI models. The AI models are already highly trained, and your data is used solely for your organization's purposes. The security of this language model is backed by Microsoft's comprehensive compliance and security protocols, providing the same level of protection that organizations have relied on with Microsoft 365 for years. There are several ways to interact with Copilot. One way is through Copilot Chat for the work and web, which can be accessed in a few different places. To talk to Copilot, you can go to microsoft.com/copilot. This will take you to the web-based interface where you can ask Copilot questions about your organization and more. You'll also find this chat interface inside of the Microsoft 365 Copilot app and through the sidebar in the Microsoft Edge browser. In Teams, you can chat with Copilot just as you would with your colleagues. You'll gain even more value from Copilot by using the in-app chat. In apps like Outlook, Copilot can assist you with drafting emails while considering the context of the entire email thread. In Teams, Copilot can help you in your meetings. In Microsoft Word, it is able to both draft and summarize content. And in PowerPoint, it helps you present information effectively. Across these applications, Copilot is integrated into the experiences. So, how does it work? The key is prompts. Prompts are what you say to Copilot. While I'm going to share the best way to prompt Copilot, it's important to remember that you can just talk to it naturally, just as you would with another person. Even if your prompt isn't perfect, Copilot will still strive to provide a helpful response. However, there are ways to enhance your prompts for optimal results. Simply telling Copilot what you need is a great starting point. It can perform tasks like transforming an FAQ document into a 10-slide onboarding guide. It's useful for catching up on missed information in a Teams chat or an email thread, and for learning about things within your organization. You can phrase these requests as standard questions, but adding the right ingredients to your prompt can make it even more powerful. There are 4 key elements to crafting an effective Copilot prompt. First is the goal. Clearly state what you want Copilot to do. For example, generate 3 to 5 bullet points. Easy. Context. Providing the background information to explain why you need the information. For example, give me those bullet points to prepare for a meeting with Client X to discuss their Phase 3 brand campaign. Because Microsoft 365 Copilot is integrated, it understands who Client X is and the details of the Phase 3 brand campaign, so you don't have to copy and paste all the information. Then you have the sources. Which information sources should Copilot use? You can specify particular documents or Teams chats to focus on. So, for example, focus on email and Teams chats since June. Now, this is useful if, for example, a significant change occurred in the project in June, making the earlier information irrelevant. Providing this context helps Copilot refine its response. And finally, the expectations. You should define how Copilot should respond. So, for example, please use simple language so I can get up to speed quickly. Or explain this to me like I'm a child, or even explain it to me as if I were a pirate. Whatever you'd like. These elements, the goal, context, source, and expectations, are the ingredients for a great prompt. Here are just a few other key tips for prompting. Your initial prompt is just the beginning. You can refine the response by asking follow-up questions to guide Copilot towards the best outcome. Copilot excels at translating languages. Large language models have a strong understanding of a wide array of languages, making localization easier. Copilot can assist with creative tasks, such as inventing something, or creating a narrative, or developing a storytelling demo of your organization's products. All of this said, it's important to be aware of Copilot's limitations. While Microsoft is continuously working to enhance Copilot's capabilities, there are some tasks that it cannot perform yet. Copilot will attempt to inform you of its limitations, but sometimes the response may be unsatisfactory or unclear. It is important for you to use your judgment in evaluating the response. Using quotation marks. This is helpful. If you put quotation marks around specific phrases or citations, it can be helpful for Copilot, just as it is for human readers. When switching to a different topic, it is advisable to start a fresh chat to help Copilot stay focused. And finally, it is beneficial to treat Copilot with the same professionalism that you would extend to your colleagues. Now, while it may seem unusual to be courteous to a computer, it has been observed that being professional and kind to Copilot can result in more comprehensive and insightful responses. Therefore, it is a good practice to say please and thank you periodically. If you need assistance with prompting, there is a Copilot prompt library available. When interacting with Copilot, you'll typically see a window where you can input your prompts, and at the bottom, there's an icon that resembles stars or a book labeled View Prompts. Clicking on this opens up the Copilot prompt gallery. Here, you'll find a variety of prompts created by Microsoft and others, which you can use as inspiration. You can customize these prompts to suit your specific needs, providing a great starting point. If you find a prompt that you like, you can bookmark it to save it to your saved area within the Copilot prompt gallery. To access this, go to microsoft.com/copilot and look for the View Prompts button at the bottom. If you're not seeing what's described, ensure that your organization has assigned you a Microsoft 365 Copilot license. If you haven't received a license yet, you can still watch this session and learn the information for future use. Once you've saved prompts, you can also share them with colleagues. Within the prompt gallery, hovering over a prompt reveals a link icon. Clicking this copies a URL to your clipboard, which you can send to others. When they click the link, it opens a new Copilot chat with the prompt pre-populated, allowing them to edit it and submit it to Copilot. This is an easy way to share Copilot prompts via a direct link. Here are some key prompts to get you started. These are among the top 10 prompts that users find most valuable with Copilot. First is recapping a meeting. This is a game changer. If you've ever been in a Teams meeting and struggled to take notes without missing important details, Copilot can revolutionize your meeting participation. You can stay focused and let Copilot handle the note taking. Summarizing information. Copilot excels at summarizing email threads, documents, and PowerPoints. You can also use it to draft content. Copilot can assist you in drafting emails and writing Word documents. It's also really great for learning about new topics. Copilot can search company data to provide information on projects and explain it in a natural way. This is particularly useful for new employees who are getting acquainted with the organization. You can ask Copilot to revise existing content or even translate it into any language. Now it's time to see it in action. Welcome to Boulder Innovations, where cutting-edge EV charging solutions meet intelligent design. What you're looking at is our flagship product, the Charge Hub Pro, an elegant yet powerful EV charging solution that's transforming commercial spaces across North America. Today, we'll see how this forward-thinking company is leveraging Microsoft 365 Copilot to accelerate their mission of making electric mobility accessible to all. Since 2014, Boulder Innovations has evolved from a startup to an industry leader with over 200 employees across multiple locations. They are currently focused on 4 key initiatives: a European expansion, launching a line of affordable residential charging products called the Charge Hub Home, their international hiring, and performing competitive analyses. These strategic priorities create the perfect backdrop to demonstrate how Microsoft 365 Copilot empowers different roles to drive innovation across the organization. Meet Marcus Hale, an operations leader at Boulder. He's currently conducting a comprehensive analysis of venue options for Boulder's major European launch event. Today, we'll see how Marcus uses Microsoft 365 Copilot to analyze operational requirements, facilitate stakeholder alignment, and make data driven venue recommendations, all while ensuring seamless execution of the strategic initiatives.
Marcus begins his analysis by reviewing venue options that Jordan has researched. The loop component provides a clear comparison of capacity, location, setup requirements, and basic amenities for the venue options.
As the Boulder team prepares for their Amsterdam launch event, operations is top of mind, and Marcus has a lot of questions and a lot to do as it relates to planning this event. One of those things is finding the right venue. It's a team effort, but Marcus's operational insights are going to be key. And wouldn't you know it, there's an email from Jordan, the marketing manager, asking for his help with exactly this. Let's take a look. I'm going to open up the new Outlook. And inside of here, I do see an email from Jordan. Jordan says, Marcus, I've completed the initial research on the Amsterdam venues. We're targeting 250 to 300 attendees, including press and distributors. I've identified 6 potential venues that could work from a marketing and brand perspective. Need your operational expertise. All right, let's take a look here. This is provided to me in a loop component. This is a newer feature of our Microsoft 365 suite where we can all make changes to this live. So I can see all of these different options here, key considerations, and more. Now, this is great, and we thank Jordan for this hard work. However, I, Marcus, have my own set of requirements.
Marcus opens the equipment requirements spreadsheet to understand operational complexity. Copilot helps him calculate total setup time and identifies critical requirements like vehicle floor loading, power access, and security needs that will determine the venue feasibility.
In Excel, I've created a list of equipment requirements that we are going to need to transport and move into these venues. Some of them have different weight requirements, quantities, and different amounts of setup time that they are going to take across all these different categories of equipment that will be moving into the venue. So, Marcus has a simple question. I want to take the email that Jordan has sent with all of those useful pieces of information and those venues. I also want to cross reference that with our Excel spreadsheet. So the first step in this is let's dive into the Excel spreadsheet. Here, I can see that I have Copilot right up here at the top right hand side, able to help me. This will slide in a side column for me. And there's a lot that I can do, but I'm going to ask Copilot this question. Analyze these equipment requirements for our launch event. Calculate the total setup time needed based on the individual setup hours. Identify the most complex logistical requirements, power requirements, and security considerations. Create a summary of operational complexity factors that we need to evaluate these venues against. Now, that is a lot of information that we are asking Copilot to parse through this Excel file and provide. There's some assumptions that it's going to need to make and much more. So Copilot's going to intelligently understand these different columns. You can see now they're highlighted with this kind of purple hue, letting us know that Copilot is engaging with this data. And here it goes. To calculate this, I'm going to need to, and you'll see it's telling us the steps by which to do it. I'll need to calculate total setup time, identify complex logistical requirements, and here is the summary of those factors. Here's the power that we are going to need for any venue, the floor load capacity, network connectivity, security measures, accessibility, and more. And look, I'm even being shown some suggested follow-up questions. Can you provide a detailed setup time calculation? Let's ask. Now, this involves some formulaic work. Notice it's generating formula suggestions. It is going to count up and looks like it has correctly done so.
I now have my total setup time in hours. I can even insert a row at the very bottom that totals up those setup hours all directly here within the Excel file for the equipment requirements. Pretty useful stuff. Glad to see it. Now I want to bring in the other element here.
Marcus uses Copilot Chat to cross reference his equipment requirement spreadsheet with Jordan's email, providing him with the 3 best venues that he can recommend in an upcoming meeting with the team.
Because it's not just about looking through this Excel file and coming up with these things. I need to cross-reference it with what Jordan has sent. So for this, I want to open up Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. You can find this inside of the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. I'll open that up here, but if you don't see it in your taskbar, you can find this by going to the All Apps section of your Start menu and then looking for Microsoft 365 Copilot. Once I open that up, you're first presented with the chat. Now, this chat that you see here is the most feature-rich and complete version of Copilot that can bring you the most useful insights. I like to use this quite regularly. You'll notice there are 2 different options here at the top. I have an option for work and an option for web. When you select web, that is going to exclusively look for information that's available in the public domain, online, on the web. It won't have any context about our organization, Boulder Innovations in this demo. It will exclusively look online. Generally, you're going to want to leave this with work selected. And that is because not only is this going to search through all of the information in Microsoft 365 that Marcus has access to, but it can also still search the web. I can look at this ... here off to the side, and you'll see web content is an available switch, and it is turned on by default. I can turn this off if I want to exclusively look only within the organization. We'll leave it on just because we get some even richer responses when we do. Good. Now I can ask Copilot whatever question I'd like. So let's do some cross-referencing. If I want to reference something in my Copilot chat, there are 2 ways that I can accomplish this. First, I can press this plus icon here. In addition to chatting with a Copilot agent, I can also select Add Content. This will then bring up my content selector where I can sort through specifically people, files, meetings, and even emails. So I can see here, Amsterdam launch venue options need operational assessment. That is the subject line of our email that Jordan has sent us. So I can reference the email. Then I will also reference our equipment requirements Excel spreadsheet. Now I'll simply ask Copilot to cross-reference the equipment requirements Excel spreadsheet with the email from Jordan highlighting the different venues that we are looking to consider. And based on your assessment, give me your top 3 recommendations for venue. Looks good to me. Let's see what Copilot does with this quick prompt. Great. And it looks like it's giving us 3 options. And this is useful because Jordan in their email also provided 3 different proposals for us to consider. It looks like Copilot has given us these 3 venues as its proposed options. First is Westergasfabriek. That is purpose-built for automotive demos, so that's pretty exciting. We have the RAI in Amsterdam, and we also have the Compagnie Theater in Amsterdam. So looks like it's giving me some assessment here based on each of them. Good. Nice. And it has checked this against our equipment requirements, looking at floor load capacity and other factors that were referenced from the equipment Excel spreadsheet. So this is really useful. I think we should move forward with these 3. So let me ask Copilot, draft an email. Draft an email reply confirming these 3 venues as our next course of action to consider. And look, it's even addressed it to Jordan. Hi, Jordan. Thanks again for compiling the venue options. After reviewing these, we're aligned on the following 3 venues as our top candidates for further consideration. There they are, with a brief explanation as to why from an operational standpoint, which is really nice. Let's proceed with deeper feasibility checks and available inquiries. Best, Marcus. So I'm going to take this, and now I can very easily move back over to Outlook and reply to Jordan. Now, one thing to note, it is very useful to get Copilot's help drafting these types of replies, drafting emails, drafting Word documents. But remember that it is a Copilot, not an autopilot. Everything that Copilot writes and that you send after receiving that help, those are your words. So it is always vital to read everything that Copilot puts forward. Copilot is incredibly powerful in its capabilities, but it does make mistakes. So it's important to double check them. So inside of here, after thoroughly reading this email, Marcus is ready to get this sent off right back to Jordan. So now the discussion as to which venue is the right fit can proceed at full pace.
Marcus facilitates a strategic review meeting where each stakeholder provides their perspective on the new alignment with business objectives. Copilot captures real-time discussion, and the meeting recap organizes each team member's input for comprehensive analysis.
Marcus has recently concluded a meeting with Maya, Sophia, and Jordan about the 3 venues. Let's take a look at what insights we can extract. I'll open up Microsoft Teams, and I can see here that there is the meeting in question. I'll open it up nice and big, and I want to show you a feature that is powered by Copilot called Recap. Inside of here, I don't only have the recording of the meeting, but I get full notes taken by AI. I can even see a breakdown of who talked, how frequently, and when. I can see the topics of discussion, venue operational feasibility, event venues. I can see chapters related to this. Most importantly, I do get an AI summary, some notes that have been generated by Copilot and artificial intelligence. So inside of here, I can see venue selection. I can see each of the 3, the Westergasfabrik, the RAI, and the Compagnie Theater. I can open up each one, and I can see insights into these: brand alignment, sustainability credentials, setup complexity. This is useful stuff. I can copy this with a single press and paste them wherever I'd like, in an email to everyone afterwards or into a shared notebook. I can also, if I'd like, view the entire transcript and see what everyone said. But I think that we can get even more insights from Copilot, and I can do that by opening the Copilot panel. I can select Copilot here on the side, and now I can interview this meeting. I can ask it anything. Let's think of a couple of questions. What were Sophia's thoughts on the different venue options? Now it has to intelligently understand who Sophia is, and what Sophia had to share, and it was able to do that. Sophia highlighted the incredible atmosphere and brand alignment with Westergasfabrik. She noted the limited parking for VIP clients, okay, but suggested coordinating off-site parking or car service. She did she? Well, what if I want to check that? You'll see there is a citation here, and then I can see the exact quote and the timestamp as to when that occurred in the meeting. RAI Convention Center, she says it lacks the wow factor. I can see that. And her thoughts on Compagnie Theater. Very good. I can ask another question. What insights did Maya provide that the group didn't think of? Maya emphasized the importance of strategic input from each team member, highlighting that the choice sends a message about Boulder's positioning in Europe. She stressed its importance. Okay, useful. Now, I can ask Copilot in this mode a wide variety of questions, but I want it to create some more robust content. So to do that, I'll close the Copilot panel here, minimize Teams, and let's return back to our Microsoft 365 Copilot app. I'll open up the chat, and in here, I have the ability to reference that meeting. So I can hit this plus and then select Add Content, Meetings, and here is that same launch venue strategic review. Now from there, I can ask a prompt. Great, here's an example prompt. Summarize the strategic assessment for each venue option. Organize feedback by stakeholder. Maya's strategic perspective, Sophia's client's view, Jordan's marketing considerations. Create pro and con comparisons for all three. Let's see what we get. Wonderful. I have some rich information here. I can see this broken down by each person, Maya, Sophia, and Jordan. I can see their thoughts on each of these different locations. Strong alignment with Boulder's innovation and clean tech positioning, great. Viewed as operationally safe but lacking differentiation. Uh, let's see what Jordan had to say. Jordan did not like our AI convention center, generic and uninspiring, and feared it would dilute Boulder's innovative image. Okay. Now, all of this is useful, but I think there is even more analysis for us. So let's look down here at the pros and cons. This helps to keep it even easier. Copilot intelligently understood that a table would be a great way to showcase this information. I can see my pros and cons for each of these three different options. Very good. This is taking verbal insights that people just happen to share in a Teams meeting and organizing it into a data forward way that Marcus's operational brain loves to review these options in more detail. Then, when we take this knowledge and couple that with the documents in Microsoft 365, like those proposals, it can only get even more compelling.
Marcus uses Copilot Chat to synthesize all available information into a master analysis document. Copilot accesses venue proposals, equipment analysis, meeting transcripts, and budget parameters to create a comprehensive report that serves as the foundation for executive decision making.
There's been a lot of discussion about this venue selection. We've had a whole meeting about it, some preliminary emails, but we need to combine all of this together so that Marcus can see all of the information at once. And Copilot is an excellent sidekick to help us with this. So let's take a quick peek at our email. I can see that inside of here, I do have an email from Arjun. He's letting us know the budget for the venue. The venue allocation is 70,000 euro. If it's under 45,000, I can approve it myself. If it's higher, it'll need to be put up the chain. Here's some additional information about the financial requirements. Okay, good to know. I also still have my email here from Jordan with all of the information that they provided. And of course, I have my equipment requirements Excel spreadsheet. Let's just give all of this to Copilot and generate a comprehensive report. To do this, I'm going to open the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, and let's actually start a fresh chat. Inside of here, I'm going to cite several things, so I can use the slash key on my keyboard to bring this up. The equipment requirements. I'll also look for some emails. There is the operational assessment email from Jordan. There is the venue budget approval. We'll add that in from Arjun. Then I can also cite meetings. So I'll put in the entire launch venue strategic review meeting that we had talking about all of these different options. Then I'll add in a prompt. I'll say, generate a comprehensive venue analysis report for Amsterdam launch event, include, An executive summary comparing all three venues, an operational assessment based on our equipment requirements, strategic considerations from our team's meeting discussion, financial analysis referencing Arjun's budget parameters, a risk assessment for each venue option, and then a final recommendation with rationale. Use all of this that I have given you in order to do it. This is a tall order. Let's see Copilot in action. And you can see all this information pouring in: strategy, finance analysis, risk assessment. All right, let's take a look at this. This is some really useful information. And again, this is all stuff that was sent to Marcus: emails he received, a meeting that he was a part of, and that Excel spreadsheet, all used to create this report. I have an executive summary, brand fit, operational feasibility, and strategic impact. It looks like our Westergasfabrik is exceptional, high complexity but manageable, and the strategic impact is quite high. As I scroll down, I can see the operational assessment. We're going to need 142 hours of setup time according to that Excel spreadsheet. Heavy equipment, special requirements. It looks like we have several options that meet this, except for the Compagni Theater. It does not have vehicle access, so that's out. Strategic considerations. From that strategy meeting, it has strong alignment with Boulder's innovation narrative. It's been used by other big names in this space. While the RAI is a safe option, it lacks differentiation. Then we have a financial analysis. Here's our budget cap and approval tiers. Here's the estimated costs, and we can see that they'll all fit within our $70,000 budgeted amount. From a risk assessment, it looks like there is a manageable risk with our primary option. And so Copilot matches the same recommendations that we had from our team. It looks like, folks, we have our venue. The Westergasfabrik is going to be the right place for us to hold this launch event. This is some really useful insights in this strategic report. So there are a couple of different ways that I can save it in order to interact with it with my colleagues. One is that I can click this button here in the bottom left. This allows me to edit what this response shows in something called Microsoft 365 Pages. This is a unique collaborative canvas that's very live that allows me to add other team members to collaborate with. So I'll select Edit in Pages, and now you'll notice that it's opened this into a side column. And so I can delete some of this. From here, I see my executive summary in a properly formatted table, the operational assessment, strategic considerations, and much more. This is really great. I can delete some of Copilot's annotations there and keep this just a nice aligned document. From here, I can also add in other colleagues. So if I wanted to tag Jordan, I'll just put @Jordan, and then I can click this button to share that with them. And just like that, I can add even more people to this. Pages is a really powerful place where we can all work on it together, but my analysis doesn't have to just stay here. I could also convert this page that I've created very quickly into a Word document. By pressing this, it will then take what I've built and convert that and allow me to open it in Microsoft Word. Comprehensive venue analysis for Amsterdam launch event. And here I have those same insights brought together into a useful Word document that I can also send off to other people. Nice thing about using Copilot is that whenever I open a Word document, I also have the ability to get a summary of it. Now, of course, we've just built this, so I'm well aware of what's involved, but just to show you, I can click this and see venue comparison, operational feasibility. I can select insights here in order to generate suggested Q&A and some of the key numbers. Here's the cost estimate for this venue and the others, the budget cap, how many total setup time hours that are needed, and much more. What are the strategic differences between these two and Boulder's brand impact? Which venue poses the higher risk? Useful information, all of that brought to me right here at the top. I can choose what level of information I'd like with this as well. Standard, brief, or detailed responses. All of this right here in my Microsoft Word document.
Marcus uses Copilot in PowerPoint to produce a visual representation of his venue analysis. Copilot proposes a presentation outline, but Marcus refines, transforming the Word document into a clear, insightful presentation for stakeholder review.
Let's say that Marcus wants to take all of these learnings and use that to create a PowerPoint presentation. We can do this as well. I'm going to open up a fresh PowerPoint. I'll use a blank presentation here. And when I open it, it's going to ask me, do I want to create a presentation based on a file? I sure do. So I'm going to reference that file that I just created. Comprehensive venue analysis. Perfect. And then I think that's pretty much all that I'm going to do. I'm going to hit next, and Copilot will analyze that Word document that I just made based off of that page that I made based off of my chat with Copilot, all of it right here. And look, my PowerPoint presentation is now coming into view. An executive summary, operational assessment, strategic considerations, and financial analysis, and a final recommendation. That looks like a pretty nice PowerPoint to me. Let's generate some slides. Now I'm going to see a brief preview of these slides as Copilot parses through all this information. There they are, filtering in. Notice it's even giving section headers. And there we have it. Copilot has taken the steps to generate this document, this PowerPoint presentation for me. Let's take a look around. Look, it has put in here an image of Amsterdam. I like it, but I have a feature called Design Ideas in PowerPoint. Designer is now a part of Copilot, so I can see there are different options. I like this one. I think that will work nicely for us. It's created an agenda, executive summary, and a venue comparison. There is that same table, and I can choose multiple different formatting options for my table. Let's go with this one. It's nice and big. My operational assessment. Notice it's putting in different images that are somewhat related to these different items. This is a feature of PowerPoint, really quite nice. I'll keep it like that. Venue compatibility, a nice vague image showing this. Now I can of course come in here and add different images if I'd like. I have my strategic considerations, the finances, the estimated costs, inexplicably a picture of a Scantron test, but these can all be swapped out later. I have risk assessment table, the recommended venue, rationale for our recommendation, and finally, a conclusion. So now Marcus is ready to take this PowerPoint presentation, send that off to Maya and the team for review, firmly recommending the Westergasfabrik as the right solution.
Marcus concludes by communicating the final decision to all stakeholders. Referencing the comprehensive analysis document, Copilot helps him create a professional announcement that clearly explains the rationale and establishes next steps for implementation.
Now that we have our venue selected, all that's left to do is tell the team. Now, I want to draft an email to send out to everybody, and I'm going to use Copilot Chat in order to do this. So I'm going to open my Microsoft 365 Copilot app because it has the context of all this great work that we've just done. So now I'm going to say, draft an email to Maya, Jordan, Sophia, and Arjun announcing that we're selecting Westergasfabrik Amsterdam as our launch venue, reference key factors from our comprehensive analysis that drove this decision, all of these different items here. Refer to an attached PowerPoint and Word document. Because we made both of those things, I intend to attach them. Let's see what Copilot makes for us. Okay, great. Wonderful. Please find attached the full venue analysis and supporting documentation. Here's the reasons we selected it. This is using the context of all of the work that we've already done, which is really nice. And it's even bolded the name of the venue. We love to see it. Going to select all of this. And now let's go ahead and respond to everyone here in Outlook. Looks like there is an email thread awaiting my action, so I'll go ahead and respond to them here. And I can paste in this information. One thing to note is that this is a Copilot, not an autopilot. Anything that Copilot writes for you, whether that's an email or a Word document, it is very important that you read all of it. Copilot is incredibly powerful, but it can make mistakes. So it is important for us to review it because what you send is your words at the end of the day. So it looks like this is a pretty good email. I have some of these things identified. I can add some additional formatting if I'd like, some bullet lists, for example. There we go. Please find attached the full venue analysis. So if I want to attach something here in the new Outlook, I can move right up here to the paperclip. There's the PowerPoint I've made. Let me actually move that a little bit. I'll put that down here. Both the PowerPoint and the comprehensive venue analysis. Very good. Let me know if you have any questions. Best regards, Marcus. Send. Check that task off of our list. And just like that, we're done. We've accomplished a lot in a very brief amount of time. We've referenced emails, meetings, and Excel spreadsheets to bring together a whole bunch of different ideas. We've created a page where we can collaboratively work, converted that into a Word document, and then transformed that into a PowerPoint presentation. And then used Copilot's help to synthesize all of this knowledge and then ultimately deliver the email that everyone has been waiting for. This is just some of the ways that Copilot can help operations professionals like Marcus.
Upon conclusion of the Copenhagen launch event, Marcus wants to review the performance of the vendors involved in the project. He uses Copilot's analyst agent to synthesize data and gather insights across the vendor pool to determine future contract opportunities.
Something isn't sitting right with Marcus. After the Amsterdam launch event, the logistics vendor, Euro Logistics, really dropped the ball, and he wants to check the vendor performance data to see if this is part of a larger issue. There's a wrinkle in this plan, though. The tool that Boulder uses has simply provided this CSV file. Oh my, look at all of this rich visual delight. Just raw data in a giant list across multiple different types of vendors, facilities, marketing, IT, security, manufacturing, and some logistics vendors. Now, Marcus could go into Excel, compare these, sort the columns, color code things, hand select data to turn it into a chart. But he doesn't have to do all of that because we have Copilot and AI in order to help us with this task. So I will minimize our CSV file here, and let's open the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. The first thing we're greeted with is the chat, and this is the best place for most inquiries. However, Marcus is going to use something called a Copilot agent. Now, agents are versions of Copilot that are specifically trained to do things. For example, already included with Microsoft 365 Copilot is your analyst agent, a researcher agent. You can also completely build your own new agents or add other agents that have already been created. So Marcus is going to use the analyst agent for this request. First thing I need to do is reference that raw data export from the vendor performance management system. So I could click this plus here and select add content, or I can hit the slash key on my keyboard and then start typing the name of the file. So I know it had the word raw in it. Very good, there it is. I'm going to use dictation to voice my prompt out loud. In a table, compare all of the vendors with the vendor type of logistics, showing their performance across the key data points. All right, I'm going to double check, make sure everything's accurate, looks good, and then hit submit.
Now, analyst is going to look through that CSV file and using both large language model logic as well as Python code, it's going to generate for us a response. I can see some Python code here, and I can also see Copilot letting me know what it's doing. I'm filtering the logistics vendors. I'm checking for unique vendor types, parsing the question details, filtering data, and preparing output, interpreting the task, preparing the table content, and more. And then look what it's provided me. Here is a comparison of all vendors with the type logistics across key performance metrics. So I can see these are specifically the logistics vendors. And now I can see the contract value, how long in delivery time. So Euro Logistics here at the top is one I'm keeping my eye on. You can see that their quality score is the lowest. On time delivery is also not good. They do excel in the cost per unit, they are the cheapest, but goodness, would you look at that customer satisfaction 6.8 out of a possible 10. Their response time is slow, issue resolution takes long. So, this is all useful, but notice all of these different areas. Cost per unit is a measure of euros. Customer satisfaction is a 10-point scale. Response time is a quantity of hours. This is hard to compare all of this data at once. So, I'm going to follow up and ask, can you provide this table using normalized values for each of these logistics vendors? And after some time, Copilot has completed this request for me. One thing I do want to call out, take a look at this thought process. Copilot says, I'm planning to apply min-max normalization on numeric columns, range between 0 and 1. Some metrics will need to be higher, some will need to be lower. So this is really useful because whoever is the top of the pack there is going to have a solid 1. Whoever is the least performer is going to have a 0, and all the people in between will have a data-driven value. And this will be compared across all of the items in the table. Let's see if Copilot got it. I'll scroll here to the end. Great. Where 1 is best and 0 is worst for each metric, contract value, Euro Logistics coming in top of the pack. They are the cheapest. However, when we look at the quality score, yikes, 0. On time delivery, 0. Customer satisfaction, 0. SLA compliance. So, this is some interesting data that I've been presented here. I think that it would be helpful to have a visual comparison. And wouldn't you know, Copilot is asking me if that's what I would like. Would you like a visual comparison to better illustrate these differences? Yes, please. I would love a visual comparison. Your choice as to which would best represent the data. Let's see what Analyst gives us. And again, after some time, that is now complete. Take a look at this. Planning visualization generation. The plan is to create a radar chart. I've never used a radar chart, so let's see what that is. Using Python showing normalized performance metrics. It'll be saved as a PNG file. That sounds good to me. Here's the Python code to run it. Oh, wow. And here it says, here's a radar chart that visually compares the normalized performance metrics for each logistics vendor. You can see their colors are up here, and I have a pretty robust chart. Now, if I'm not so sure how to read this, look at this. Copilot has put it right down here, how to read it. Each axis is a performance metric. The further out a vendor's line is, the better they perform. This visual helps to identify strengths and weaknesses at a glance. So, I can see Euro Logistics right here. This kind of blue portion is just a small part of this, whereas Hammer and Sun Logistics in green is quite significant. Blitz Transport is also pretty good in this chart. Now, maybe that's not the chart that I would like. Maybe I can request this differently. I can turn that into a bar chart, line chart, whichever suits my needs. Now, I want to ask analyst a somewhat nuanced question. Based on this data, which are the two lowest performing and the two highest performing logistics vendors? And do you have any feedback as to which ones should earn our business? Of course, Copilot is an AI, doesn't know these people individually, but it will give me an answer based on the data. I'll scroll through here to the bottom and find what its recommendations are. Based on the average normalized performance across all key metrics, here's how they rank. The top two performers, as we suspected, Hammer and Sun Logistics and Blitz Transport. Bottom two performers, also, as I suspected, Euro Logistics and Alpen Post Freight. Recommendation is that Blitz stands out with strong performance, on time delivery, cost efficiency, customer satisfaction. Hammer and Son Logistics delivers quality, speed, SLA compliance, and customer satisfaction. All of this is great, has helped me understand a bit more about the data. Now, this is simply one example of how Analyst Agent here inside of Copilot can help add value. You can imagine whatever source of data this is, being able to have a Python expert who can parse through all of the information and surface up actionable insights is just one of the useful capabilities of agents in Copilot. Throughout Marcus's venue selection process, we have seen how Microsoft 365 Copilot transforms operational decision making from complex analysis to clear recommendations. From analyzing the equipment requirements in Excel and facilitating stakeholder discussions in Teams, to synthesizing comprehensive assessments using Copilot Chat and creating an executive presentation, Copilot helps Marcus deliver strategic operations support that enables business success. For operations professionals like Marcus, Copilot bridges the gap between operational complexity and executive decision making. Multiple data sources become unified insights while maintaining the analytical depth essential for sound operational planning. The final venue recommendation demonstrates how AI enhanced operations work drives confident business decisions. On your screen, you'll find resources specifically designed for operations teams looking to implement Copilot, including useful templates and frameworks. Thank you for exploring Marcus's operational journey with me today. I am excited to see how Copilot helps your operations teams deliver even greater strategic value across your organization.